person for Tokyo 2020. Today, I'd like to give you a brief overview of Tokyo 2020, what we have been able to achieve for the past 8 years. I believe you have a media guide that we have produced. Hopefully you would be able to download that from the link you can see, as you can see on the screen. You want to access to our website, tokyo2020.org, and at the bottom of the page, you have the link to access to the online press room. You need a username and password to access inside, and then there are plenty of useful tools, so hopefully you'll be able to leverage that. In the meantime, I'd like to highlight some of the key achievements that's being illustrated in the media guide by using this slide. So I want to start. First of all, next slide, please. This is the unprecedented postponed games, first ever postponed games. Of course, there has been challenges during the past year. Straight after the postponement, the decision of the postponement, immediately we established a internal task force to deal with this unprecedented situation. We illustrated a roadmap towards hosting the games next year. We took a phase-to-phase approach. The first important phase, the first important challenge was to secure venues, obviously. And then we achieved that in the first phase. In the next phase, we looked into how we want to position this unprecedented postponed games. There was an intensive discussion internally and of course with the stakeholders. And then we were able to compose the positioning of the Tokyo 2020 games, namely simplifying the service levels and reducing the cost so that we should be able to win the public trust. And the third important phase, I would say the most important phase, is the composing the robust countermeasures on COVID-19, which started September last year. First of all, thanks to the government initiative, we were able to come together in the three-party meeting attended by the national government, Tokyo Metropolitan Government, and of course the organizing committee. And there was a series of discussions among those three parties. And then we were able to come up with a mid-term report already in December last year. And then based on that foundation, we started having even more concrete discussions to have a robust countermeasures on COVID-19 by working with the IOC, IPC, international federations, NOCs, and of course experts in this field, including WHO. By having the specific framework, we call it All Partners Task Force Meeting. And then after a series of discussions, we first published the first edition of the playbooks in February, followed by the second version in April, and finally we were able to publish the third version of the playbooks just last month. It's been a long journey indeed, but we are nearly there. It is indeed 4 days to go before the opening of the Olympic Games. So this is very crucial time. Next slide, please. Just a quick overview. We are supposed to have maximum 11,090 athletes for the Olympic Games. They will compete 339 events across 33 sports. Next slide. Obviously, on top of the existing 28 Olympic sports, thanks to the Olympic Agenda 2020, the organizing committee of Tokyo were able to propose the additional events for this edition of the Games. That's 18 events across 5 sports: baseball, softball, karate, sports climbing, skateboarding, and surfing. So this is going to be a unique feature of the Tokyo 2020 Games. Next slide. These events will be hosted at 43 venues for both the Olympic and Paralympic Games. For the Olympic Games, indeed, it is going to be hosted at 42 competition venues. For both the Olympic and Paralympic Games, the number is 43. The next slide. The 43 competition venues are laid out in the heart of the greater Tokyo area. The original concept during the bidding phase was 8 kilometer, 85% of the competition venues within 8K radius, ultra compact Olympic and Paralympic Games concept. But after the intensive review by working closely with the international federations, and of course the benefit from the Olympic Agenda 2020, we decided to change our concept, revamp our concept to what we have today. Compared to the venue master plan that we had during the bidding phase, the number of existing venues has been increased from 40% to 60%. Indeed, it is a total of 25 competition venues are existing among 43. 8 are still new permanent competition venues that's going to be benefiting to the people in Tokyo and Japan after the 2020 Games in 2021. The rest of the 10 competition venues will be temporary facilities. So back to the conversation. We will leverage as many existing facilities as possible, and after this intensive review, we have been able to save more than US $2 billion in terms of the venue construction cost. Next slide. So we also requested those elementary schools to conduct a Olympic education program so that we were able to let them even more engaged within the spirit of the Olympic Games. And after the vote, we were able to pick up this winning design. And then finally, Mirai Toa and Someiti were able to make a big debut in 2018, summer 2018. We took a similar approach when selecting the emblem. There was an open contest. We were able to receive nearly 15,000, precisely speaking, 14,599 works. And then after the intensive selection process, this is exactly what we have. This is indeed the winning design of this entire process. So we have been trying to take the approach that are able to extend our reach out, trying to engage as many people as possible wherever possible for the past 8 years. Volunteers, this is another important initiative. For now, for both the Olympic and Paralympic Games, we are supposed to have 70,000 volunteers working on the Olympic and Paralympic projects. During the summer 2018, we received the application for the volunteer positions, and at the end of the day, we were able to receive more than 200,000 candidates, and which is another big evidence how Japanese people are passionate about hosting the Olympic and Paralympic Games. Moving on.
Maintenant, les médailles.
Yeah, I'd like to a little bit speak about the sustainability initiative of Tokyo 2020. Tokyo 2020 sustainability is obviously one of the key pillars of Tokyo 2020. Once again, we have been able to conduct quite a number of important initiatives wherever possible, advocating the importance of sustainability to general audiences. This Tokyo 2020 medal project is among those. We started this project back in April 2018. We started collecting a discarded electronic devices like mobile devices or other electronic discarded devices. And then we produced these medals from these discarded electronic devices. So it is actually one of the innovative initiatives among those Tokyo 2020 projects. Through this project, I believe we were able to reach out the importance of the sustainability to general audiences. Moving on. Similar to the medal project, we have the Tokyo 2020 podium project helped by P&G. This victory ceremony podium is actually made of recycled plastic materials. So thanks to their company's effort, we were able to collect recycled materials from the general public. Once again, this is another touch point for general audiences that we were able to reach out with the message, the importance of sustainability. We have a good video. We have a nice film on that, so I wanted to show you that. Please. Thank you. Moving on. Yeah, I think we should quickly touch on the budget. Before the postponement, but the budget for the organizing the games in total was supposed to be $12.6 billion, but after the postponement, the figure was revamped. We released the version 5 budget figure in December. We updated the entire structure of the budget. The OCOC budget was originally $5.6 billion, but that has been increased by $0.9 billion to a total of $6.7 billion. Concerning the budget overall, that's going to be $15.4 billion, and that's including the increase of $1 billion from the budget borne by the Tokyo Metropolitan Government, and this includes the cost covered for the COVID-19 countermeasures. The same applies to the national government. The total expenditure for the national government is $2.1 billion. This is an increase by $0.7 billion compared to the previous version. And once again, this increase includes the additional budget for the cost that should be covering the COVID-19 countermeasure. Moving on. Yes, marketing. I think we want to touch on the. Okay, this is the slide we want to have. So, we have been able to benefit from the massive support from the Tokyo 2020 corporate partners. Thanks to their dedication, we have been able to achieve this situation we have today, the preparation we have today. Even after the postponement, all the corporate sponsors express their strong support towards Tokyo 2020. We really appreciate their huge support towards hosting the games. Also, sales of the licensing products is another unique feature of Tokyo 2020. We have been able to deploy such a massive number of goods and items to the market, and then we were able to benefit from these sales as well. It's also important that such the licensing products being prepared to across the country in many ways is also another important initiative in terms of from the perspective of engagement. So that's a quick run through of the Tokyo 2020. And at this very end, I think I should briefly update you on the latest COVID situation. So today at 11 a.m., as always, we were able to release the latest list of the COVID positive cases to everyone. We found 3 new positive cases, as you can see on the list. 2 non-residents of Japan, 1 resident of Japan. A total number is 58. This is excluding the report already made by the municipalities. So in that respect, we are of course aware that 3 positive cases have been already observed outside this list, being reported by the municipalities. In that respect, the total number of positive cases linked with the accredited personnel is 61. But it's important to look into the number inside. Among those 33 is the positive cases from residents of Japan. 28 is the number from the Olympic community arriving from overseas to Tokyo. Speaking about this 28, I think we want to look into the global number. As of yesterday, 22,000 people arrived in Japan. So looking into the positivity rate on COVID among those people in the Olympic community, the number must be nearly 0.1%. So that's the global figure. And also I should touch on the cases reported yesterday concerning the South African team. As you can see on the list, we confirmed today that the cross contact, the number of cross contact is 21. This 21 people found in the same group. So as I explained yesterday, in the same group, the rest of the, as I said, there are 3 positive cases. These athletes and then the team official were isolated straight after they were found as positive, and the rest of the group were requested to stay in their room, and then they have been able to follow the instruction. And today I can say that the number is 21. They were indeed requested to stay in their rooms. We, of course, provide meals and drinks to their rooms directly by Tokyo 2020 staff members, and the team is following the instruction. So that's the brief explanation about the Tokyo 2020 overview and the latest COVID cases. If you have any questions, I would be happy to answer that. Thank you. Yeah, Mark.
Bon. Une question à propos des athlètes.
I've got a question with regard to the South African football players. Can you tell me if their participation in the tournament, which should start on Thursday, is this been suspended, or do you think that between now and then you will have sufficient guarantees which would allow them either to participate in the event or to forbid them from participating in the competition, and therefore they would have to just hand in the towel, as it were?
Yeah, thank you for the questions. Concerning the participation of the South African football team, we were able to put together a strict guidance concerning how the identified cross-contact athletes would be able to participate in the games. This was already communicated to respective NOCs. Some of the additional countermeasures have to be in place. Like I said, the identified cross-contact athletes, first of all, have to stay in his or her room alone. And in the meantime, the meals, drinks have to be provided to their rooms. They cannot access to the dining halls indeed. And in addition to that, the identified cross-contact athletes also have to use a dedicated transport to and from either the competition venues or training facilities. So these additional countermeasures have to be in place. And in the meantime, those identified, confirmed close contact athletes and players have to take a PCR test every day. So what I can tell you is that since I was able to report that, 21 close contact case, which means their PCR tests conducted yesterday were all negative. They are, of course, indeed have to take. They are indeed have to take their PCR test today as well. So they just need to keep taking this PCR tests every day. And so, and also, additionally, I have to say that either before or before either the competitions or training sessions, within 6 hours before those either training sessions or sports competitions, they have to take once again PCR tests, and then to prove that they are negative, so that they would be able to participate in those training and sports competitions. So that's the strict guidelines we are set, working closely with the IOC experts, relevant authorities, in order to fully implement how we will be able to let those close-contacted athletes, players, are able to participate in their respective competitions. So within this guidance, we would be able to see that the team will be able to compete in the games, which is coming up in a few days. はい、林さんどうぞ。
Hayashi-san, please. Thank you very much for the opportunity. My name is Hayashi from Kyoto Press. You've mentioned about the 21 close contacts. So in terms of the breakdown of the 21 close contacts, could you give us that? For instance, the number of athletes or number of officials. Could you give us the breakdown? Thank you very much for that question. In terms of close contacts, the identification of the closed contacts, there's definitely an issue how much information we can disclose. But we have mentioned they all belong to the same group. So within those 21 close contacts, majority are athletes. That is all we can tell you. But so within that number of close contacts, we can tell you majority are athletes. But we cannot give you a further breakdown. I don't have the information right now. And of course, there is a question as to how much can we disclose in terms of the identification of the close contacts. So that is all the information I can provide you at this moment.
はい、どうぞ。
Please go ahead.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Lisa Du. I'm with Bloomberg News. I have two questions. Should I ask them both at once, or would you prefer one after the other?
Either way.
Okay. So the first question, I was hoping you could share a little bit more about how you feel looking back at this past year in dealing with the postponement. What did you feel you guys are able to do really well, and what did you feel like you could have done better? And the second question is, you spoke a bit about the support from the sponsors. It was just reported actually just now in local media here in Japan that one of the major sponsors, Toyota, won't actually be airing any commercials in Japan related to the Olympics, which seems to suggest some wariness in associating with the event from Toyota. If you can give a comment on that, that would be great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't know how long I would be able to speak about my feeling looking back into the past years, but trying to be very short. Yeah, it's been indeed a long journey for everyone involved in this project. What I can tell you is that the decision of the postponement was made in March last year, which was only 4 months away before the opening. So in that respect, everyone must have been feeling that there was of course, certain level of disappointment. But in the meantime, soon after that, everyone involved in this project were able to feel that it was the right decision because, obviously, the safety and well-being are above anything else. So everyone was, we all know that everyone was really convinced on that. But in the meantime, the feeling that the decision was made only 4 months before the games was like, we were at 40K in marathon, and suddenly we were told you have another 10K. So, to me and to, I believe, everyone else was feeling that it could be a really long, tough journey. And indeed, it's been a really tough journey for the past year. But in the meantime, we all know that this is an unprecedented situation. No one has been able to manage such the postponed games. So in that respect, it was also a journey for something unknown. Trying to put everything together is something a very challenging project and job to do. There were in the past year, of course, good moment, also a extremely challenging moment. But the fact is, we are here only 4 days before the openings, and we are here with you, like you, people coming from every corner of the world in this very challenging time where people are split apart because of the COVID-19. And I feel, even in this room, that there is a growing spirit of solidarity, which is something we want to convey from Tokyo, Japan, to people across the world throughout their games time. So that's the answer to your first question. The second point, sorry, I wasn't aware of the story, first of all, but what I can tell you is that I know those partners and sponsors must have been struggling to support Tokyo 2020. As I said, it's an extra 1 year. And also that 1 year was a pretty intensive and challenging situation. But still, those partners and sponsors were always very, very supportive to Tokyo 2020. I was actually sitting in the room when having all the partners for a conference call. We indeed conduct such a conference call with all the partners from time to time, regularly and on a regular basis. Whenever I join this meeting, I have been able to listen to such a supportive comment towards Tokyo 2020. Of course, considering the public sentiment, there is a mixed public sentiment towards the games at this moment or even past year towards the games. So in that respect, there must be a decision by each company in terms of how they should be able to disseminate, how they should be able to convey their messages to the public audiences from its own corporate perspective. But in the meantime, I need to emphasize that those partners and companies have been very supportive to Tokyo 2020. They are passionate about making these games happen. And that's something entire Tokyo 2020 team really appreciate it. Andrew? No.
I'd like to check about the 21 close contacts. So they've been asked to stay in their room. Are they allowed to train at the moment?
Are they what?
Are they allowed to train? Are they allowed to practice?
Is that your question?
Yeah.
Okay. So as I said, no, sorry, I don't think I was able to explain to everyone, but up until yesterday, they didn't train after they were requested to stay in their rooms. I mean, they were requested to stay in the rooms. So they didn't train yesterday. But towards the competitions, as I said, there are measures that have been taken in order to let those athletes participate in training sessions and sports competitions. In order to let those athletes, players, participate in those trainings, some of the additional measures have to be followed, as I explained to you. First of all, they need to stay individually in his or her room. The meals have to be taken in its own rooms. Dedicated transport has to be provided, etc., etc. So those conditions have to be met in order to let those athletes and players participate in their training sessions. So that's something we are currently coordinating with the South African Olympic Committee. And as I said, once all conditions are met, they are able to participate in their respective training sessions.
So how long will these special measures stay in place for? Like, how long do they have to stay in their own individual rooms and not eat together? And
once all conditions are met, they are able to participate in their training sessions. But I don't know the latest status in terms of the coordination with the South African Olympic Committee. So I just cannot tell you exactly when they can restart their trainings at this stage. But once again, all the conditions have to be met. And then with this way, we are able to let those athletes able to participate in their respective training sessions. Lady, over there.
Hi, Masa. It's Christine Brennan with USA Today. Nice to see you. With the reports of COVID positive tests in the village, I'm curious if you can tell us, is the village safe for athletes? Is there any concern at all for these athletes that they would test positive or be contact traced out of their events? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Christine. First of all, welcome to Japan. I think similar question was made yesterday during the press conference, and the IOC and Tokyo 2020 are absolutely clear that the Olympic Village is a safe place to stay. The important thing I have to tell you is that it's about a response to the positive cases. We cannot say there will be no positive cases within the Olympic community, given the situation that we have a massive number of people are engaged within this project. But there is no significant bumps compared to the in terms of the positivity rate compared to the same number found in any other places. So what I have to tell you is there will be, of course, certain number of positive cases to be found in the lead up to the games. But once again, the most important thing is the response to the positive cases. As I explained yesterday, when the first positive case is found, we immediately isolated this team official to the isolation facility straight away. And in the meantime, we soon started identifying the close contact cases, and in the meantime, we were able to discover 2 more cases yesterday within the same group. So these 2 groups were soon after that isolated to the isolation facility. Our another response that we requested the rest of the group members to stay in their rooms were immediately made, and the South African football team were very cooperative and then fully follow that instruction. So the Tokyo 2020 staff members are now, of course, in touch with their team, and then we do provide meals and drinks whenever necessary. So in order to manage the situation, as I said, a robust response, an immediate response to the positive cases are extremely important, and that's something we have been able to implement at this stage. So that's my answer to you. Gentleman in black wear, in black shirts,
Hi. Thank you, Mr. Masa. I think, first of all, let me congratulate the committee for, kind of pulling off such a great event, and, after the postponement. So there are 2 questions. One is just to kind of get a perspective of what should we expect from the opening of the Olympics. Is there anything that you like to highlight? And the other question is, considering the fact that these COVIDs and viruses might keep happening and, in the future, so is there any recommendation from your committee how we can restructure or relook at the whole Olympics itself? Because, this might come in different shapes and sizes, but for sure it is here to stay. And considering the burden one country has to take for such a massive event, which is increasing by the day, do you have any recommendations, or will you want to kind of suggest some next steps? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Concerning the opening ceremony, I just cannot tell you anything about the ceremony right now. It starts at 8 p.m. July 23rd, and I want to say, people, please look forward to it as a traditional manner. Sorry about that. In the meantime, on your second question, our President Hashimoto, when she took up her position, she said the postponement of the games is something no one has able to experience. So in that respect, she wants to leverage this entire story, this entire process for further promoting the Olympic and Paralympic movement in many ways. She said that could be a Tokyo model, which means looking into the process we were able to go through, as I briefly touched on, simplification is one of the major tasks during the past years. We looked into numerous areas where whether or not we are able to reduce the level of the services, whether or not we were able to reduce the cost, trying to simplify the games as much as possible, trying to focus on the essentials of the values of the games. That's something we are working on with an intensive way. And then we identified more than 50 areas that we were able to cut the cost and reduce the level of the services. And then also able to cut the budget by 300 oku yen, which is 30 billion yen, which is about 0.3 US billion dollars, 300 million US dollars, sorry. So it's another example that how we are able to leverage this experience for the future organizing committee. There must be areas that we are able to look into for the simplification, even for the future organizing committees. And then, as far as I understand, they have been able to fully leverage the experiences we have gone through already, so that they are able to focus on the essential values of the sports and the Olympic and Paralympic Games. So at the end of the day, what we have done can be a good example for the future organizing committees. And we are hoping that if that's going to be remembered as a Tokyo model, that should be a real honor, and it's a big achievement that Tokyo 2020 has done.
No, thank you. I think I think it is very important that these learnings are taken by the committee, and because only the rich countries are able to host these Olympics, and developing countries will only be able to host these if your recommendations are taken forward. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Yeah, gentleman next to him.
Thank you. Hi there, Blake Johnson from 7 Network Australia. Just on the opening ceremony, how did the rehearsals go last night? And I'm wondering if you could confirm how many dignitaries might be at the ceremony, if there'll be any atmosphere other than just the show that you've prepared. Thanks.
Concerning the question of the opening ceremony, sorry, I just cannot go further. I am not allowed. The message I can tell you is that we want people to look forward to it. Of course, there was a rehearsal yesterday. Must be fantastic, but I didn't participate in it. It's a shame. On the number of the ceremonies that the dignitaries might be able to join, we don't have the number yet. We don't have the number released yet. What I can tell you is that only essential personnel who are engaged in the operation of the games will be able to join the Olympic stadium for the Olympic ceremony. So that's the very basic principle. Any other questions? どうぞ。
Please go ahead.
スタッツパフォームの原田幸喜と申します。
My name is Harada from Stats Perform.
チーム GB から
Team
アスリ
GB,
ートは6人
so
スタッ
6
フが2
athletes
人自主隔離をしているというニュー
and
スが出てますが、
2 subs
これは
athletes have
現
been
在のこのプロトコル
self-quarantined
に
right
の
now.
っとってのことなん
So
で
is
しょ
this
うか。
based on
ま
the
た
current protocol? So this
21
is
人の
Team
方
Great
が
Britain.
何チー
Also
ム21人の方が
21 close contacts have been identified
隔離
and has been quarantined for
全
South
体で今
Africa.
自主
So
隔
right
離を含め
now,
て隔離してい
so
る
in terms
ア
of
スリート
the
かスタッフ
the
が
number of
今現在
athletes
ど
or
れぐらいいるんでしょう
staff,
か。
what
よろ
are
し
the
くお願いします
total number who are under those self-quarantine?
はい、ありがとうございます。
Thank you for that question.
チーム GB
So in
が
terms of Team
自主
GB,
隔離をしてい
they
る
are
という
under
話は、
self-quarantine.
私は
I am not quite aware of that
本当に理解をしてないんですが、6
issue.
人のアスリ
So
ート
6 athletes you've
というふうにおっしゃいましたね。
mentioned. Did you mention that
6人のアスリ
number?
ートと
6 athletes?
2
Could
人
you
の
and
スタッ
2
フ
staff you mentioned? Could I just confirm that number?
BBC とか ITV が報じてるんですけど、
So according to
6
BBC
人
and
の
IBC,
選手
so
と2
6
人のスタッフ、
athletes and 2 staff
木曜日に到
members,
着した、
and they
フラ
arrived
イトが
on
一緒だったということで、
I think
ポジテ
they
ィブ
were using the
陽
same
性者が出
flight
たフライト一緒という
with
こと
someone
で、
with
隔離され
positive
ている
case.
というふうに報じ
So
られ
that's
て
the
いる
reason why they were isolated. That's how I
はい、
understood.
すみません。
Okay, thank
今
you.
私
Well,
BOA の
yes,
ステート
BOA
メントを見てい
statement.
るところです。
I refer to
自主隔離
BOA's
ではなくて
statement. They are not self-quarantine, but
まあその BOA のステートメントの記載の通りですが、
as I see the BOA statement, so 6 athletes and 2 staff members.
まあ日本に到着した際にその
When they arrived in Japan, there was another passenger who was positive in the same flight. Well, when this is according to the cabinet office of the Japanese government, whenever we have the positive case on the flight, depending on the position of the seat, yes, they actually collect the seating information, and depending on the position of the seat, they have the possibility to be designated as close contact. So we have to take the response to that occasion. So it's not like self-isolation, but we are following the latest protocol set by the Japanese government, and that's how they are stated at this time. Well, in June, Uganda case, when they find there's a positive at the airport, then the close contact person might be transported to the camp venue, and that is not regarded as appropriate measure. So that's why we are following the protocol set by the government. So, well, we have to make sure it's safe and secure game, and the protocol is trying to make sure the game is safe and secure. So yes, we understand there is some inconvenience, but we really appreciate they follow the protocol. Okay, so maybe the person who is...
Can I go back to the Christine's question? I think I said that after the first positive case was found, I think I should have said that the 2 more cases were found via a screening test, which are conducting every day for the athletes. So that's one correction. Sorry about that. Yeah. はい、ごめんなさい。では、その
Sorry. So going to the person, yes, the second row, yes.
A line
from Mainichi newspaper. Well, according to the chief secretary of the cabinet office, Mr. Kato, and Mr. Oyamada, the composer of the music, who is in charge of the opening ceremony, Tokyo 2020 is going to take some measures for the person who is the composer of the opening ceremony, and this person is said to be bullying someone in his elementary school when he was really a kid. So what kind of measures are you going to take? Sorry, I was not aware of the Mr. Kato's statement toward this Mr. Oyamada. Yes, of course, I am aware of Mr. Oyamada. Yes, Tokyo 2020 is aware of this situation. Yes, Mr. Oyamada himself was making the statement that he regrets what he did when he was an elementary school student. He was bullying someone and he made the apology statement. Well, yes, he deeply regrets what he did when he was this elementary school student, and then now he is really a great sense of ethics and be an artist. And yes, his contribution to the opening ceremony is really great. So in 2020 opening ceremony, I hope that he is going to put his best effort to really make the opening ceremony a successful one.
I think it's a little after 1 hour. I have one question from New York Times remotely. So I think we want to go this as the last question. Motoko from New York Times: for the opening ceremonies, will only one athlete from each delegation represent each competing NOC? How many VIPs will be allowed? Concerning the number of delegations participating to the opening ceremonies, so sorry, we don't have the final answer yet at this stage. I know you have been showing a certain level of interest on this topic, but we don't have the number yet. Once we have the clear answer, we should be able to provide you with the answer. Concerning the number of VIPs, I think I already addressed that. We don't have the number yet who will be able to work in the opening ceremony. I think I need to emphasize that for the opening ceremony, only the essential personnel who will be involved in the opening ceremony's operations will be able to come in the venue, inside the venue, to do their job. So that's the basic answer to these questions. So I think, is there any other questions from the floor? Okay, so the last one, 長谷川さんかな。長谷川さん、last one お願いします。
Okay, so Hasegawa-san's question is going to be the last one. Yes, from Kyodo News. Regarding the South Africa, this is a quite small detailed question, but let me confirm. So on the 22nd, South Africa is having the game, and yes, there is a possibility for the close contact athlete to be in the game. Well, the Japanese team doesn't have to give any approval, meaning that the opponent or Japanese team doesn't have to give any approval for the possible close contact South African athlete to be in the game competition, and also the route of this infection for South African team. Maybe the either South African Olympic Committee or maybe the Tokyo 2020, where this infection was occurring. either prior to coming to Japan or during the flight. And also, I guess this team arrived in Japan on the 14th. Well, I think the first positive case came out on the 16th. So maybe during those 2 days, they were using the training facility or maybe the main dining hall. Maybe this is quite a small question, but would you please share that information with us?
はい、ありがとうございます。
Yes, thank you very much for your question.
最初のご質問に関しては、
to the first question,
当然この後、
of course,
国際競技団体、
after this,
IF も含めて、まあ協議をしていって、関係各社と調整をしながら、
discussions and we are going to have coordination.
試合のですね、
to see, to really make sure that yes, we are going to do every single possible measures to the game or to the competition. Regarding the route for the infection, I have no answer to that infectious or infection routes. I can't really give any optimistic answer because I don't know. So I'd like to refrain from answering to that question. After coming to the village, their activities, well, first of all, sorry, I do not have all those information with me today. And also regarding this South African team and also their activities, I don't know to what extent I can share with you because I haven't really talked to them yet. So that's why I think we can't really share the information at this time. Just to give you a fact that yes, on the 16th, the first positive team official was found. On the 16th by the screening test, and on the following morning, which is on the 17th morning, yes, there was a kind of possible infection. So this person took the PCR test, and then it was confirmed as positive, and he or she was isolated. On the 17th, the same day, well, we had conducted another screening test. There are 2 positive cases from that test. So there were, sorry, I just have to confirm. Sorry, it could be possible positive cases.
Sorry,
my number is right. It was right. I confirmed it. So likewise, through the screening test, so those who were suspected of being positive, they have confirmed positive after the PCR test. So they have been moved to an isolation facility. So my number was right. And as far as the activities of others, I cannot share all the details right now. I don't have them at this point.
それではすみません、長時間となりましたが、ありがとうございました。Thank you very much for participating in today's press briefing. Tomorrow, we will come back with President Hashimoto and CEO Muto after a report to the IOC session. So it should be in the evening. Sorry, I haven't been able to set the exact time, but it should start 5:45 or 6 p.m. Sometime in that frame of in the evening. So we will come back again. Thank you very much. See you tomorrow.
Mais là, est-ce que tu m'entends? Yes, tu m'entends? Attends, there we go, tu m'entends? Ok, donc on peut être sur le même.